Well, actually, the person that's driving this is really the CEO. You can't do true digital transformation without the CEO understanding and driving that change. It's an enterprise level change. It's a fundamental change in business strategy, and it requires some tough choices on investments that have got to be made across the enterprise. I like to say the CEO has to get that aha moment. You know, that moment in time when the CEO gets it, they understand the game of the business that they thought they knew has just changed. And it's a fundamental different world today than it was 10 years ago. And they have to understand that the way they drive revenue in the next 10 years is very different to how they did it in the last 10 years. So the CEO has to have that aha moment. When they get that, now they understand what kind of capabilities they're going to start to need. They look for the kind of skill sets they need in the C-suite, and they can make sure they have the right CMO, the right CIO. If they feel like they want to put a title of a Chief Digital Officer in place to communicate some messaging to investors or whatever, then that's fine. But the title is immaterial. It's whether you've got the right skill set in the C-suite to understand how to take the technology and apply it to create value for customers. And so you need to have that awareness in marketing, in the CMO. You have to have the awareness in the line of business, in those presidents of the business units. And you have to have the awareness in the CIO to understand how to drive revenue through technology. There's always been that sort of scale of CIOs from very business savvy oriented CIOs to sort of the opposite end, much less business savvy, much more focused on sort of the operational capabilities of the technology group. The more business savvy CIOs, even for the last 30 years, have been driving revenue growth. The change that we see happening today is that those less business savvy CIOs really don't have a role in the modern technology organization. You have to be business savvy. You have to understand how to use technology to drive revenue. Now, some CIOs are renaming or being renamed as CDO, Chief Digital Officer, if they've got that business savvy skill set. And sometimes you get a Chief Digital Officer brought in from the outside who's got those capabilities, and they will sometimes sit alongside the CIO. Sometimes they'll have the CIOs reporting to them. In the case of GE, Bill Rue is the Chief Digital Officer. He's effectively like an Uber CIO, but he's also the president of GE Digital, so he runs that business unit effectively. And the group CIO, so GE is a very big company. They have a lot of CIOs in the company. They all report into Bill. But they've also got this sort of reporting line into the business unit as well. And you see this very common in a lot of these complex organizations. You have these matrix reporting lines where CIOs will report into business units and into a central function. So the role of the CIO is evolving very quickly. There's a blurring between the CIO and the Chief Digital Officer, depending on the kind of industry and the experience of the people in those roles, and the Chief Marketing Officer, because marketing is very critical in this too.